Hey, what's up? Jimmy Brown here with another episode of String Theory. In the previous 17 lessons in this I Got Rhythm series, I explained and demonstrated various ways in which you can progressively split a bar 4/4 meter into even halves. As with binary biological cell division, you start with one whole note, then go to 2 half notes, then 4 quarter notes. You can then keep halving the note values and thus doubling the number of notes by subdividing the beats into 1/8 notes, 16th notes, and 32nd notes. As you hopefully recall, we explored a bunch of different ways to mix and match all of these fractional note values, which add up to 1, to create a wide assortment of appealing rhythms. Well, that's all well and good, but not all music has that even-numbered binary feel. And so today I'd like to show you a different way to subdivide a beat, which is to split it into 3 notes of equal duration, what are called 1/8 note triplets. A triplet is, by definition, an odd number. So subdividing a beat into thirds kind of goes against the grain of the even metric grid of 8th and 16th notes. It's like trying to fit a triangular peg into a square hole. As such, triplets require you to subdivide and count in a completely different way. Interestingly, as a little aside here, many music historians consider the triplet to be the oldest rhythm known to man, and perhaps the most innately natural one, with examples dating back to primitive Celtic and African tribal music. Let's look at some modern examples. I'll start with a fairly simple 2-bar phrase that I'll play in an 1/8 note triplet rhythm, using notes in the familiar E minor pentatonic scale, as shown on screen in Figure 1. I'll repeat the figure a few times using different counting schemes, and also address the pick strokes used. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. As always, after listening to me demo the figure here, I suggest you pause your video player and try playing it yourself a few times. Take it slowly at first and be sure to tap your foot on each beat as you play. Now you'll notice that I've indicated and recited 2 different alternative ways to count the triplets here. Each way is commonly used and has its advantages and disadvantages. The first way, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, works best at faster tempos because it's easier to vocalize, right? If you're playing fast, you're going to go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. It's like Rocky hitting a speed bag. Bounces off the thing in kind of a triplet rhythm. That kind of rolls off your tongue nicely. But the disadvantage of this counting scheme is that it borrows and rhythmically repurposes the syllables and from the standard 16th note counting method that we learned about. And it puts them in a different place within the beat, which can be potentially confusing, right? As you recall, the 16th notes, we went 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So by borrowing and shifting those and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, that and falls in a slightly different place. So that's a disadvantage. The other alternative counting method is to say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, etc. As you can hear, this uses new, different syllables for the 2nd and 3rd notes of the triplet. The words triplet. So there's no confusion with 16th note counting. But at quicker tempos, reciting these syllables with all those P's can become an annoying tongue twister. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, I can't even do it. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. You get to a point where you just stumble on your words. And even if you're just doing it in your head, you kind of get a tongue twister, like a mental tongue twister, right? So that's a disadvantage of that. Now, regarding technique, triplets can be challenging to work out and synchronize your pick strokes with, since you have an odd number of notes, 3, right? But only an even number of strokes, 2, down and up. So if you're alternate picking, you end up switching the directions of the strokes on each beat, going from down, up, down, up, right? Down, up. And you're kind of reversing polarity, so to speak, with your pick strokes. And that can trip people up if they're used to always hitting a downstroke on a downbeat, because it'll force you to, hit an upstroke on a downbeat. But a helpful and widely used practice for avoiding this awkwardness and achieving smoother rhythmic phrasing with triplets is to liberally employ legato phrasing, hammer-ons and pull-offs, as I did here in Figure 1. I went Pull-offs, right? And then hammer-ons. That's very common and a very cool thing to do. It makes triplets flow more nicely. Now, eighth note triplets serve as the basis for another common and very popular rhythm, what are called swing eighth notes, or swing eighths for short. These are formed by tying or combining the durations of the first two notes of the triplet, resulting in a lopsided long-short sound. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, which is based on da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. In figure 2, which you'll see on screen in a second, I'll illustrate how this works and show 3 different alternative ways to notate what sounds like the very same rhythm, including in bar 2, the simplest and most convenient shorthand notation for swing eighth notes, which is to simply write them like ordinary eighth notes with the indication with swing feel. Here it is. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a
1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, 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 down.
In our next example, figure 3, I'll demonstrate how eighth note triplets and swing eighths are typically used together in a blues-style phrase, with the indication swing feel, which is also known as a shuffle. That tells you to swing those eighth notes. Classic guitar-driven examples of this feel can be found in the songs Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan and Roadhouse Blues by The Doors, both of which are also in the key of E, Pride and Joy being played with the guitar tuned down a half step, so it actually sounds in the key of E flat. Here's figure 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 triplet, 3 and 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Finally, I'd like to offer an example of what may be called backwards or reverse swing eighths, which are formed by instead consolidating and combining the durations of the second and third eighth notes of the triplet, instead of the first and second notes. So you have short-long instead of long-short. Let me demonstrate.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, down, 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 down.
So we start out here in bar 1 of figure 4 with regular swing eighth notes on the first 2 beats, then switch to reverse swing eighths on beats 3 and 4. I've notated ties here in this first bar to better graphically illustrate what's going on. In bar 2, we have what sounds like the very same rhythm as bar 1, only now I've consolidated the 2 tied eighth notes into a single quarter note, which is always a good notational practice to follow. Notice that when doing this, we no longer have the horizontal eighth note beam, that thick black bar, and just a flag on a single eighth note stem. In lieu of the beam, a pair of right angle brackets with number 3 centered in the middle of them is used to group the quarter note and eighth note together within one beat and show that these note values are part of a triplet rhythm. Okay, that's our introduction to triplets and swing eighths. I'll show you some more cool triplet-based rhythms next time. See you then.